was Seppo Niittymaki who came to Melk in Austria with a brand new engine in his Porsche, and he did very well right from the start, didn't he?
Yeah, absolutely, but then Niittymaki would later on show that he was not to be involved in the battle between the three giants here. Martin and Olle Arnesson and Matti Alamaki, the three first guys of this heat. But in Austria, Seppo was certainly one of the guys to beat.
He was indeed, but the action started right away in Austria, didn't it? You had Martin, Schanche, Olle Arnesson and Seppo and Matti Alamaki straight away. From the minute the racing started, they were out there fighting for the European Championship.
Absolutely, and I think that this year's championship, as it turned out, was one of the most exciting ever. Martin wins this qualifying heat, but he still has the final to do, and it's in the finals that the points are given.
Now Martin managed to qualify for pole position here.
But let's move over to the finals and see the C final in Division 2. And two guys here, really surprising that they were not better than the C final. John Welsh and Kjetil Bolneset.
Yes, John had had a lot of problems in England with a misfire on his engine, and certainly the problem hadn't gone away by the time he came to Austria to give the car its first European debut. And he really was left at the start of this final.
Bolneset also had his problem with a new car for him, both from France, 20-valve engine, around 600 horsepower, but he didn't manage to get it working properly. He really wins this C final after passing a lot of slower Austrian guys, but no good result for Bolneset or Welsh in Austria.
B final for Division 2, and straight away the Porsche of Rolf Nielsen takes the lead from the newcomer, as I think you would admit, this year, Jukka Kaltari.
Yeah, a completely new name, and young Finn who has the talent, but maybe not the engine to run up among the best. He's running a four-wheel driven Porsche with a normally aspirated engine around 300 horsepower. That's not enough today. In the back of the field here, Bolneset from the C final is fighting with Austrian Herbert Breiteneder in his very special Lotus.
Yes, another very, very interesting car. Is that a four-wheel drive one?
No, it's a two-wheel drive and an engine with probably around 280 horsepower. It's a very good result for Breiteneder in Austria to follow these guys with four-wheel drive all around.
Yes, he's doing very well, but as you see there, Bolneset has a puncture on the front, and that certainly didn't help him in that final at all, as Rolf Nielsen came round to win that race and qualify for the A final. And now at the start of the A final, straight away you have the dice between Arnesson, Alamaki and Martin Schanche, who actually made a mistake there. He was too eager to get away.
Yeah, and we will see it in slow motion that there is no room for him really. He's going over the banking there and loses a lot of places and ends up as fifth man.
Yes, Martin was very, very slow coming off the start line, and he tries to make up the disadvantage there. He tries to get in front of Alamaki, but Alamaki has got his line for the corner. There's no way he's going to let him by, and Martin was very, very lucky not to go over the top.
And surely he must be very disappointed with himself for that bad start. But here in front, Olle Arnesson and Matti Alamaki is really having a fight. And it was like that the whole season. It all started here in Austria. Martin was not lucky in Austria, but he will come later. That's quite true.
No, Martin has never won in Austria, has he? And it is the one he would really like to win. Then he can say he's won all the European Championship qualifiers in all of the countries.
Here he has also lost his fifth place to Andi Benz of Austria. No, Martin has never won in Austria. He's in fact the only European round he has never won. He has won in all the other countries. But here Olle Arnesson wins in front of Matti Alamaki, and first point for Olle Arnesson from Sweden.
Yes, and in third place comes Seppo Niittymaki, only just ahead of Rolf Nielsen, who did very well considering he hasn't got the power from that engine.
B-final Division 1, and the guy who is gone straight into the lead is Lars Nystrom, the Swedish champion. He is driving for the Swedish national team together with Anders Norstedt and Olle Arnesson and Rolf Nielsen. But Nystrom maybe has lost a little bit of his edge this year. Was not so ambitious, and only the B-final for him here in Austria.
Yes, and also that is quite a heavy car to drive. In England we are very surprised to see anybody who is rallycrossing a Volvo because they are such a big, heavy car.
But they're handling quite well.
Yes.
And really about Division 1 you could say that you find a lot of makes. Only in this B-final you have Volvo, Fiat, Mitsubishi and Volkswagen, so it's a very exciting division really. Not so fast as Division 2, of course, but still they have a lot of good fights.
That's
as
true.
here between Odd Moon from Norway and Per-Arne Skogstad, who won the C final. But Nystrom is, of course, winning the B final in front of Kallio from Finland. A final, Division 1, with the Austrian home driver Friedrich Heinz straight into the lead in his Golf GTI.
Now that was a very, very quick Golf, and quite a few of the drivers weren't sure that a Golf should go that quick in Group A, were they?
No, and but of course Friedrich Heinz, he knew this mountain circuit very well, and it was like his own pocket, like the English drivers know Little Hill very well.
Yes, that's
Friedrich
right.
Heinz knew this one. But he was quite outstanding in this A final, and as you see, he will have quite a lead over Norwegian Knut Boberg, also in a Golf, but the new type. And on third place, last year's European champion, Anders Norstedt. And another ride-off we'll see in the B final Division 1. Juhani Lamela from Finland hits another one of these sand walls, and he is really high.
Yes, that really came down with quite a bang, and surprising that he wasn't hurt at all. But we're very lucky in rallycross like that, aren't we, Henning, that we haven't really had any serious accidents.
Yeah, and if you see these pictures, how high he really is, you understand that the cars are very strong, and it is a safe sport, rallycross.
Yes, they're trying very, very hard in this group, because as we shall see during the season, we see some of the best fights for the lead in Group A.
Yeah, they're really driving on the limit and having some very nice fights. Maybe it's because the cars are not so expensive as the Division 2 cars. They're not risking so much by banging each other.
Yes, a lot of them are very evenly matched, so it's right down to the driver.
And as in Austria, Lars Nystrom also wins the B final in Finland. And here, Lamela's car, complete write-off, I will say.
Yes, I should think so. We see the start of the Group A final now.
And straight into the lead, quite a new guy in rallycross, Audun Olsen from Norway in his Volvo. In fact, he has come from motorcycle sport, from speedways, and he's been driving professionally in England.
Yes, people who support the Speedway in Reading should certainly recognise the name. But we see that in the Ascona, Bjorn Skogstad there is giving him quite a good race.
And he was last year's newcomer with this third place in the European Championship. Still with the Ascona, giving away a lot of power to the Volvos. The Volvos have around 300 horsepower, the Ascona around 180.
But he's certainly trying very hard, and he's staying with the Volvo, and it really is surprising to see the Volvo doing so well.
And he's really trying until the last corner, but Olsen takes it and wins in front of Skogstad and Norstedt, who is now leading the championship together with Knut Boberg.
Martin had a very, very good go to make that pole position in the finals, but the Finnish circuit is a very tricky one, isn't it, Henning, with all the sandbanking that we see around the circuit?
Yeah, and Martin had complained about these sandbankings, and we'll very shortly see what happens when he hits one of them.
Yes, in the third runs he had, there he goes, in the third runs he had Olle Arnesson pressing him quite hard, but he wasn't that close to make Martin go into a mistake, and I think Martin there probably did it all by himself.
Yes, he certainly wasn't under pressure from Olle Arnesson, but he was trying his best to beat Matti Alamaki's best time of the day. And when he hit the sand wall, it was no way. He just turned around 3 times.
That's it, yes, and that was it for Martin, because that was the third qualifying heats, and the positions in the finals were already sealed. And here we see Martin again. He really hit it very hard, and the car loses a front wheel already, and then rolls over, as you say, 3 times. And Arnesson did very well not to run into him.
But Martin certainly has a lot of work to do in the week before the Swedish round at Tomelilla.
And now it's down to the last final of the day, and we've got no Martin Schenker at the back of the grid. And not unexpectedly, Matti Alamaki takes the immediate lead in front of his home crowd. And right behind him, we just saw there Olle Arnesson, again trying very, very hard to keep up with the Finn. But on home ground, I don't really think that any of the others stood a chance.
But Olle can certainly put the pressure on Matti, and he will try his best. And this will be a very dramatic final.
Yes, the looser parts of the circuit are where Olle makes up with the ground. Certainly the Porsche there in the lead can pull out quite a considerable advantage But here again we see Olle Arnesson coming up. Once they're on the tarmac, he tries to go around on the inside. He almost does it, and there he goes right up over the Porsche, and he does manage to get by. But I think there he suffered a puncture or something.
We'll see what Matti does. Oh, he's going on the inside and really trying to get past Olle again. But that Quattro is big. But something must have happened because Olle is getting troubles here.
Yes, and we see that the car there is almost down at the side. He doesn't appear to be able to steer, and maybe that is what forced him to take Matti almost off the circuit. A driver who missed Finland was John Welsh. He had engine problems. He's back again. Hopefully the problems are being cured, and we'll be lucky enough to see John take us for a lap in a few moments.
John Welsh, you had a terrible misfire in your car in Austria a couple of months ago. Have you sorted out the problems?
I think so, yes. We had a problem. We had 3 faulty pickups and we were putting them in one after the other, so it took a little bit of time to find.
And now you're back in the European Championship again?
Yes, doing the ones that we feel like doing, yes.
How is it going in England?
Good and bad. The misfire was in England too. But I think we've done about 5 meetings and we've won 3 and 2 I can't remember.
So things are starting to go well and the car is functioning?
Oh yes, yeah. It's obviously going to take me the first part of the year, as it does anyone, to get used to driving it and to sort it out. So, but at the moment it's starting to go very well.
Straight into the C final Division 1, and let's look at Erik Hansen in the Golf here, who is going on the outside of Audun Ove Olsen. Kallio from Finland leads the final, but Erik Hansen is certainly not going to lose his second place, he thinks, but he makes it all wrong.
Oh yeah, straight over onto his roof. Very lucky to have slid off the circuit. Nobody really near him, otherwise it could have been a major problem. And there he goes. As the first 3 drivers go clear, slides right over on its roof and straight back onto its wheels again and clear of the track.
And Kallio, the Finnish driver, he's continuing his final in front of Audun Ove Olsen, who is really sliding with the Volvo here. Big car, and sometimes he seems to have some handling problems, Audun Ove Olsen. But Kallio wins this C final. The B finals when it all starts again.
Yes, and quite hectic again there at the beginning, as we see one of the Opel spinning.
It was Roger Sandberg from Norway spinning out there, and Nystrom again leads the B final. But in this B final we will look out for Boberg in the Golf and Ivarsson in the black Volvo. Yes, because nobody can do anything about Nystrom.
No, meanwhile we have the 2 Volvos, we did have the 2 Volvos at the front there as the black Volvo drops down right to the back of the field.
But he comes back.
Yes, certainly, as everybody is getting themselves a bit tangled up there. Quite a few drivers dropping out. We see the Volvo coming back through the field again, makes up 2 places in one go.
And really I think that Biturbo was lucky not to get hurt in that situation.
It's quite a hefty bang that he got on the door there from the Volvo, isn't it?
And the Nystrom goes on to win the B final.
Wait for the start of the A final Division 1.
With the 2 Saabs on the front line, Anders Norstedt, 1984 European champion. He goes straight into the lead in front of his companion Sune Andersson. Bjorn Skogstad in the Ascona on 3rd place, and Skogstad is also by now really going quickly.
Yes, it's a good performance there from the man they call the Rookie of the Year in 1984, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes, he is obviously also trying to reach one of the top 3 placings this year too. But Anders Norstedt, nobody can do anything about him. He just stresses out his lead, and he's going to take his first win on home ground at Tongarila.
Yes, and from now on he really controls Division 1 from the front position, doesn't he?
Yeah, when he wins here, there is really no excitement left in Division 1. I'm sorry to say that, but Norstedt is just that good.
Martin, we saw how you rolled this car in Finland 1 week ago. How is it possible to rebuild it in that time?
Yeah, I was actually asking myself whether we could make it or not, but by good help from Gunnar Kittelsen, who's running a panel beater shop in Norway, and John Welsh, who's also running a panel beater shop in England, the corporation came out with the spare parts necessary, and yeah, we straightened it out. The same body shell, It had a few cracks here and there and stuffed in pretty bad, but we managed in 4.5 days to have it ready painted.
The A final, and there we have Olle Arnesson and Martin Schanche. Martin trying to hold Arnesson off, but going up the banking, then feeling that he was squeezed out there, he tries to get ahead of Olle Arnesson, doesn't make it and damages the car at the same time. Yes, there we see the wheel just rolling off.
And Martin must certainly be very disappointed, both with himself and with the race. You see here that he is really angry. But there was really no place for Martin on the inside.
No, none at all. We see it there again. He goes over the banking trying to get by there. Maybe he feels now that Arnesson has shut the door on him, and we see him coming back very quickly, trying to make room for himself, and I think that is where the damage was done.
Yeah, probably, and Martin could have just stayed on the second place there and gotten the extra points, but he wanted that victory, and the wheel is rolling.
And you could say, really, this is where from now on Martin almost realised that there was no way he was going to win the championship this year unless something major happened.
And his third round and his third, sixth placing, not very good for Martin.
No, not at all. As we see Olle Arnesson, he recovered very well from that incident. The Quattro, a very, very strong car, and he manages to lead Alamaki's Porsche. Alamaki trying very hard now, closing all the time on the loose.
And we're on the last lap, and Alamaki really tries to get past Olle, but it will be difficult, I can tell you.
Yes, if there was a bit more tarmac, I think the Porsche driver might have done it. He tries, up the inside, just no room for him.
And Olle goes on to take his second victory of the year and retain the lead in the championship.
Yes, he's going very well at this time of the year, and Alamaki, though, is showing the sort of form that's going to win him the championship at the end of the season. With
Skogstad on the starting line, he will also be competing against Håkan Ivarsson and Lars Nystrom with the Volvos.
That was quite a big entry, wasn't it, in Division 1? We had the biggest entry of the year, in fact.
In fact, around 30 cars, and they were competing with Division 2 this time to have nearly as much cars. Skogstad leads the final in front of a French guy called Philippe Hammer, but Hammer, he takes it with his Alfa Romeo, and Skogstad is trying to get past him, but he will not succeed in that. And Hammer is in fact going to win this B final and go on to the A final. Quite a bit of a surprise.
Yes, the circuit very, very slippery, and in fact Skogstad there lose it into the corner as the Frenchman there takes victory, so up to now the French drivers have had quite a successful event. A final for the Division 1 cars, and again the Frenchmen straight away take the lead.
Benassi in his Renault 11 Turbo in front of Kallio Finland, Fiat Ritmobot, and Trevor Reeves England in the Ford Escort RS Turbo.
And Trevor Reeves there at the back, he's looking for a way through. This is the first time that he's had this car out in Europe. It's a very, very new car. But Trevor is a very clever driver, and he likes to size up the opposition. He will look to see where the opposition are drifting wide just a little bit, and that's where he makes his move.
Kallio passes Benassi on the inside, and so does Trevor Reeves in the next corner.
Yes, Trevor Reeves is finding that the front-wheel drive of the RS Turbo is proving just the right thing in these conditions.
And Kallio from Finland takes the checkered flag as a winner in front of Trevor Reeves and Benassi, the Frenchman.
And this is in fact the first time in these finals that the Frenchmen haven't won a race.
That's right.
In this particular heat, this was the second qualifying run for Martin Schanche and Olle Arnesson. Olle tries to go up the inside of Martin, there's nowhere to go, and over goes the Quattro.
This episode really looked a lot like the episode in Sweden, in Tomelilla, where Martin tried to get on the inside, but there were really no place for him at all. And here Olle tries to get on the inside, but there is no room for him. And we will see it in slow motion after we have finished this heat, which, by the way, Matti Alamaki leads, and he will win it in front of Martin. But the slow motion will show that Olle doesn't have any place at all.
No, and that accident actually gave Matti the chance to take the lead, and he was in fact fastest throughout qualifying in this particular EC round, wasn't he?
Yeah, that's right. But we see here that Olle is just overturning, and in very high speed. The start straight was long in Marville, And it's a wonder that these strong cars can survive such a pounding.
So strong, in fact, that he was actually able to have the car in hand in time for the final. But here we see Olle, he was extremely angry, and what he's saying to Martin about the incident, I don't think there's a beating.
Oh, that's quite true. But also Olle's mechanics were very angry with it. And maybe that was the reason why they could repair that car so quickly.
Ja, när släppte bort. När du vred hjulet, den kurvan gick till höger och dina framhjul står till vänster. Ja.
C-Final Division 2.
And that's Frenchman Jacques Aita, who takes an immediate lead in the Quattro. Now, he went very well the last time we saw him in England at the Grand Prix. So maybe he's a name to watch out for if only we could see him outside of France a little bit more often.
And his competition here is mainly French, but the Norwegian, Geir Asbjørnsen in a Porsche, he turns around and loses quite a few places. And Aita, he also wins this C final and goes on to the B final. The B final Division 2, because here we see the Visa of Roger Cheverton, that's a Citroën Visa, and he takes the start in front of Jacques Aita, in fact, who is a little bit wide in that corner.
Yes, in fact a little bit too wide as he goes up towards the banking, but it looks as if he'll still manage to hold second place, which he does, but only just.
And Cheverton extends his lead in his four-wheel-driven turbocharged Citroën Visa in front of Jacques Aita, and Norstedt is also in this B final, but not a very good result for him this time. And I think the French drivers were more used to the conditions on the circuit this time.
It's the last race of the day, and on this one we have in fact got Olle Arnesson there in the centre of the picture. He's managed to get the car repaired in time. But as the lights go green, it's Matti Alamaki who makes the best start. Martin tries to go up round the outside. His way is blocked by Olle Arnesson, who comes through on the inside, and Martin is down to third place. Despite the magnificent effort, however, by Arnesson's mechanics, it doesn't take Martin very long to get by the Quattro. It is having a bit of trouble, and as you see there, so is Niittymaki, who spins, and that leaves Matti Alamaki plenty of time to pull clear, with Martin chasing him quite hard.
I think that Olle's car is not quite right after this smash-up in the third round, and he's just trying to secure his third place here.
So that's 2 rounds to the Finn there, and as Arnesson takes third place, we see what Alamaki has to say.
The Alamaki, second victory this year, it's going nicely for you.
Yes, it's okay this year.
And I think also that your car is much better now than it was last year.
Yes, much better. Last year I can't handle it, but this year it's very good, I think.
We'll start with C Final Division 1, and Trond Engebretsen, this Ascona Norwegian, takes the lead from Arnold Forreken, that is Camille's brother. So the two brothers are both driving rallycross. And Engebretsen has no problems with winning this C Final and goes on to the B Final Division 1. And watch out for Engebretsen from the last row. He is trying to go on the outside of Bjorn Skogstad. But he is a little wide, a little too wide, and from behind Roger Sandberg also come, and he will also play with Skogstad and Engebretsen.
That's a very, very tight corner up there, and quite a few cars lose 1 or 2 places there as Skogstad pulls out quite a substantial advantage, and he will in fact increase that advantage to eventually take the checkered flag. There is no one who seems to be able to catch him at the moment.
Behind him, fighting for second place, is Olsen, the former Speedway driver, and Odd Molden with the Mitsubishi, who is by now repaired his car after the accident in France.
And that's quite a battle there for second place, as you say, between Olsen in the Volvo and Moen in the Mitsubishi, and Sandberg in fact is trying to get in there as well, going around the outside, and does indeed take second place.
And Skogstad takes the victory and goes on to the A final, but behind him we will see that it's a very close race between Roger Sandberg and Trond Engebretsen, and Sandberg he takes it on the finish line.
Division 1 A final.
In the lead on the outside is Håkan Ivarsson in front of Norstedt, the championship leader. Nystrom on the third place, also in the Volvo. Camille Forreken on fourth place, Skogstad fifth man. and Knut Boberg in the Golf on 6th place.
And they're all very, very close together, none of them giving any room at all to the other, and it really is quite a fight up front, but we've become used now to seeing these same cars always in there leading the field.
Ivarsson is still leading, but Norstedt is charging on him, and he will try his best to pass him before the finish line.
Yes, Norstedt there in the Saab, climbing all over the back of the Volvo, and in fact as they go up the hill to complete the last lap, he does take him on the final corner, so Norstedt there takes the victory over Ivarsson in the Volvo.
And Lars Nystrom takes 3rd place in front of Skogstad, Boberg and Camille Verregen, the Belgian golf driver.
Now for the C final in Division 2, and straight away we have the Alpine driver Ludo Stukers who takes the lead, with the man to watch out for eventually, the green and white sunbeam there of Martin Arulsson. It's the car's first debut, but unfortunately it's not a very good one this time.
No, he spins out, and he told us afterwards that he had forgotten really to put in his 4-wheel drive, so it had only rear-wheel drive and it was not very easy to drive.
Well, he certainly made a good start if he only had rear-wheel drive. But also, right at the front of the field there, chasing hard in 2nd place, we see Rolf Nielsen, that's the blue and white Porsche. Rolf Nielsen using the new turbo engine for the first time.
But can't quite catch Ludo Stukers. And Nielsen had rolled this car 1 week before in Sweden. Torholm from Norway on 3rd place and Harry Öhman from Finland on 4th place.
And right at the start of the B final for Division 1, we see Seppo Niittymaki there, making a very good start. He leads Jukka Peltari and the Dutch driver Piet Dam.
Bonneset is 4th, and Stukers and Timo Vietan, he completes the field.
But meanwhile, Seppo is really extending his lead. There's nothing that anyone can do about him. Peltari there doesn't have anywhere near as much power, and so he really can't catch that leading Porsche.
But look at the windscreen wipers on the cars. It has just started to rain, and this track is going to be slippery. And Niittymaki takes the B final and moves on to the A final.
Yes, and look at that fantastic lead that he's got over there. You can hardly see the 2nd place man. He's just come into view, and in fact it is Piet Dam who takes it from Kjetil Bolnesek, who spins his Quattro, not quite in celebration as Martin would have done. So we can certainly see there who the crowds are shouting for at this particular meeting. There is the current, or the 1984 European champion, behind him Matti Alamaki, who leads the series at this stage, and Olle Arnesson in the Quattro. And as you can see, it's still raining, so it's anybody's race still. And there's an awful lot of power there lined up on the start line as Martin Schanche makes the best start of the group. He leads Alamaki's Porsche and Arnesson into the first corner. Nobody can really do anything about the X-Track at this point in time, and I think that Martin might get just a little bit too confident as the race wears on.
Martin was outstanding at Maasmechelen in the qualifying heats, had the 2 best times and pole position, and was very sure of himself before this final.
Yes, maybe a little bit too sure, as we shall see, because he has a very, very good lead here as he goes around to take what really should be the checkered flag. But he makes just a little mistake right at the end. Meanwhile, we see Francois Monton there having a bit of a tussle with Michael Nordstrom, and in fact the two of them come to a halt there as Martin comes around to take what he thinks is the checkered flag. And having gone across the line there, he is almost ready to stop. He actually starts to take his helmet off, but meanwhile, whilst that happens, Alamaki goes charging past him. Now Martin has realised that something is wrong. The other cars are still racing past him, and with his seatbelts undone, with his helmet off, he starts to carry on racing. And as Alamaki comes across to take the checkered flag, the real checkered flag, Martin just holds on to that 2nd place from Nordstrom in the Beetle and Monton in the Quattro. And now, in fact, this is where the arguments start. Martin not really sure of what is happening. This particular case was debated for a long time. Alamaki there being congratulated. As far as he is concerned, the victory is his, but Martin has other words to say on this. In the B final there, we see Enoksen use the 4-wheel drive of the Saab to hold off Engelbrettson's Opel into the first corner, and in fact he does actually take the lead.
This is going to be a very exciting final with Skogstad and Erik Hansen trying on the outside. Enoksen comes to first, Engelbretsen, then they come together with Hansen and Skogstad. Ivarsson presses on the inside. And Engelbretsen is really charging Enoksson, and Boberg is also in this fight. Skogstad gets on the inside again, but loses it all. And Ivarsson on the outside. Here everything really is happening very quickly.
Yes, all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cars all together there. None of them want to back off. They're all really fighting, especially at the back of the field. You've got their 3 cars almost abreast. But up front, again, we see Engelbretsen in the Opel. He's all over the Saab, trying very hard to get in front.
And suddenly something happens, and Skogstad gets a chance to get up on second place and behind Enoksson.
Yes, that's quite a turn-up for the books, because all of a sudden there, the Opel, I think, hit the banking, and that dropped him right down, allowing Skogstad to come up into second place, and now he's all over the Saab, as we see Engelbretsen again having more trouble. But there at the flag, it's Enoksson in the Saab, only just from Bjorn Skogstad in the yellow Opel. Already comfortably leading Division 1, Anders Norstedt there takes the immediate lead in the Division 1A final, and he looks set to stay there all the way to the checkered flag.
Second place is Roger Sandberg from Norway in the Ascona. Third place Nystrom in the Volvo, and fourth place Moon in the Mitsubishi. And Anders Norstedt is by now very well used to winning in Norway, because you can add 3 victories in Norwegian Championship too.
Yes, it certainly was quite a good race. It's surprising that Norstedt is really trying so hard. He's actually comfortably in the lead of the championship. You can see how he is staying well in the lead there. He comes around to take the checkered flag, with Sandberg now not too far behind, but I think that Norstedt there, he was controlling the race. As we come now to the B final for Division 2, and straight away Alamaki, who was in fact the winner of the C final, he comes through from the back of the grid to have to settle for initially third place and then second place, as Rolf Nielsen makes the better start to lead Alamaki and Norstedt in the Beetle. Right at the back of the field we just saw Martin Aroldsson in the Sunbeam, and as I said earlier, he will certainly be somebody to watch later on in the series. Surprisingly at this point, Nielsen is managing to hold Alamaki, but Alamaki makes a big break for it over the top of the loose there, over the hill, goes very, very wide, almost up the banking, but remarkably the Finnish driver, he still manages to hold the power down on the circuit, and he still manages to retain his second place. Nielsen it was who was the winner in that one, Alamaki and Norstedt in the Beetle. Here we see Alamaki again. He tries to take Nielsen around the outside, goes very wide, the back of the Porsche goes up the banking, but still he manages to hold it. Now, because of a 10-second penalty, we find that Nielsen has been dropped from winning the B final, so it's Alamaki there who comes through from the back of the grid, as he did in the B final, to take third place behind Schanche and Olle Arnesson. Martin, though, he really needs to win this one. He hasn't won a round in the series so far. He's in front of his home crowd, and what more could you expect from the Norwegian?
A good result for Bollnäs 2 on 4th place in front of Virtanen from Finland, 5th place, and Valdun from Sweden in the Beetle on 6th place.
Yes, Bollnäs is doing very well there with the Quattro. He seems to have got the hang of it now. He had a lot of trouble with it early in the season, but now he's got it all together, and 4th place is really very, very good, especially when you think of who's in front of him. Martin there, again, another driver who likes to control the racing from the front. He's staying just in front of Arnesson. He doesn't try to drive too far out, and there he is taking the checkered flag, and you'll see how pleased he is with this particular victory. Martin, as always, the showman there, spinning his car. Meanwhile, Bollnäs comes over the finish line to take 4th place behind Alamaki, the latter in fact still managing to retain his lead in the series.
Now for something not completely different, but pretty different, because this is the final of the British round of the European Championship for Group A. Now, these cars are virtually identical to normal road-going cars. You're not allowed to have four-wheel drive, and you're not allowed to make many real modifications. And in pole position is the British driver, Trevor Reeves, who we've got used to seeing in Minis and Metros, but is here in an RS Turbo Ford Escort. And alongside Reeves is the Swedish driver, Håkan Ivarsson, in a 2.2-litre Volvo Turbo. Then, in the middle of the second rank, indeed the only man in the second rank, is Audi Bjorn, who's in a Mitsubishi Skogstad. He's a Norwegian driver, and it's a 2-litre car. At the back of the grid, number 015 is Anders Norstedt, the man who's leading the championship. He's driving a Saab Turbo, and completing the lineup is Roger Sandberg, the Norwegian, in an Opel Ascona. So there's in the front row the Escort and the Volvo, and it's a real mix of cars with a Saab Turbo there, with a Mitsubishi Honda. This is a 4.5 lap race. Straight into the lead goes Håkan Ivarsson, who's 5th in the championship in the big black Volvo Turbo, with Trevor Reeves in 2nd position. And Trevor has driven an absolutely superb season in British Rallycross and in Continental Rallycross. He's a past champion of Lytton several times. He knows this circuit like the back of his hand. He's in 2nd place. He's just got the big but very, very powerful Volvo Turbo in front of him. And charging hard at the back is Anders Norstedt. Watch for number 015. Because Norstedt is leading the championship with 93 points from Lars Nystrom, who's got 75, and Knut Boberg, who is in 3rd position. And as they come through the end of the lap, it's Ivarsson leading. It's Reeves in 2nd position, and those two are starting to develop a race all of their own. Reeves and Ivarsson loses the lead. Reeves is through. He's onto the tarmac at Dover Slope, and look at it pull away from Ivarsson. This is a terrific bit of driving by the Englishman. Roger Sandberg is now in 3rd position in the Opel Ascona, so it's a Ford leading. It's a Volvo 2nd. It's an Opel Ascona in 3rd position as they go round the right-hander at the North Bend. This is lap 2 out of 4.5. And Trevor Reeves will now be able to consolidate his lead. As I say, he knows this circuit perfectly and the car. Reeves leads there. Ivarsson 2nd. Sandberg is in 3rd position. And it's a real scrap for 2nd, 3rd and 4th. As you can see, we're likely to see a change as the cool and imperturbable, very tall Trevor Reeves increases his lead, and Audi Quattro now in the Skogstad is up into 3rd position, or is he, because there's a Saab there? No, in 3rd position it's Anders Norstedt now, the championship leader. So watch the 3rd car. That's the Saab Turbo 2-litre car of Anders Norstedt, the Division 1 champion of 1984. He's leading the championship in 1985. This isn't a race for victory, because Trevor Reeves looks as though he's got that sewn up. It's a race for championship points between the race leader, who is in 3rd position, as Ivarsson spins, and he lost his equilibrium there for a moment, but he's regained it magnificently as he approaches the left-hander at the Devil's Elbow, where on the 3rd lap now. Oh, we're on the 4th, 3 laps completed. We're on the 4th lap, and the leader is still Håkan Andersson. But Norstedt, Reeves still leading, Håkan Andersson still in 2nd position, Norstedt in 3rd position, and Norstedt is going to increase his championship lead because Ivarsson is only in 5th place in the championship, but Norstedt, as Reeves goes into the last half lap, Reeves is going to win, no doubt about that. But is it going to be Ivarsson or Norstedt in 2nd place? Ivarsson leading across the rough, and he'll be able to... And Norstedt comes through, and Norstedt takes the 2nd position. He's taken... It looked to me, and I'm almost opposite the line, I would take money on Anders Norstedt having finished in 2nd place ahead of Ivarsson. But there is Trevor Reeves doing a Martin Schanche. That's what Martin Schanche's made himself famous for. actually getting out of the car, operating the accelerator with his left foot so that he can show himself to the crowd and get their applause. And Trevor Reeves richly deserves it, having won the British round of the European Rallycross Championship in Group A here at Lyden today. Now we can relish the thought of this 4.5 lap A final, because what a lineup. Martin Schanche, the 4 times European champion from Norway, and it says Escort there, but it's a very, very special Escort. It has an 1800cc turbocharged Zack-speed engine, which develops 560 horsepower, which will propel it from rest to 160 miles an hour in half a mile, and which will propel it from 0 to 100 miles an hour in 5 seconds. There is Olle Arnesson, a very forceful driver, who won the British Grand Prix in 1983, Rallycross that is. He's in the Audi Quattro, turbo, 4-wheel drive. John Welch, who is in a car virtually identical to that of Martin Schanche. And John Welch, number 4, is the British champion of 1984. He's got the lap record at every British circuit except Brands Hatch. There's Martin Schanche, who has what I would describe as a mercurial personality, like he can fly off the handle at the drop of a hat. Just getting himself psyched up ready, getting the glove palms nice and dry, and plenty of grip on the steering wheel. He can adjust the amount of drive that goes through to the front and rear wheels at will as he's driving along, and the way that car gets away from the line is virtually unbelievable. It's as though he had a rocket attached to the back. There, in the much bigger and bulkier and a greater tendency to understeer Audi Quattro, is Olle Arnesson, just quietly thinking about it all. 1 in Austria, he's 1 in Sweden, 2nd in Finland, 2nd in Norway, 3rd in France, 6th in Belgium, 2nd in the championship. Olle Arnesson. Behind Olle Arnesson, there is John Welch, British champion, 1984. His car sensationally fast. Now, John has in the past not been so good, and these are his own words, at getting away from the line. He tends to drag away from the line, and it was because he'd had 1 or 2 engine problems, which he hopes he has overcome. There, alongside John Welch, is the man who's actually leading the championship, Matti Alamaki, from Finland, from Pori in Finland. 760 horsepower, 4-wheel drive, 106 points in comparison with Olle Arnesson's 100 points. 152 is the man we have just seen winning the final Crossfire Motor, and in the background, number 141 is the 630 horsepower, 4-wheel drive, 3.3-litre Porsche of Seppo Niittymaki, who won here last year. Get ready for the laps. 4.5 laps. Schanche, Escort, Arnesson, Quattro, Alamaki, Porsche, Welch, Escort, Montauk, Audi Quattro, Niittymaki, Porsche. A lot of horsepower. Arnesson leads. Schanche takes him as they go into the right-hander at Chesson's Drift. Schanche takes him. Arnesson is in 2nd place. Alamaki is 3rd. Welch is 4th. Niittymaki is 5th. And Montauk is 6th. And as they go, and Welch has got smoke pouring out of the back of his Escort. It may just be something on the pipe work, and Welch has blown it. John Welch has blown it. He doesn't seem to realise it, though. So as they go down the hill, well, John Welch is nothing deterred, and he's pressing Alamaki in 3rd position as they come through at the end of the 1st lap, with Martin Schanche out on his own, but only about 4 car lengths ahead of Olle Arnesson's Quattro. Then Niittymaki. There is the smoke screen laying Escort Zack-speed powered car of John Welch, who's going to make it difficult for everybody behind him, that's for sure. But he's holding up magnificently. John Welch has had to take an engine back to Niedersachsen, where the Zach Speed organisation is, and it looks as though he's going to have to take this one back at the end of the race, because it's going to be somewhat part worn. Good on John, he's not worrying one little bit, but there's a couple of chaps with problems behind it, because Nitty Markey can't see through the smoke, and Mortor can't see past Nitty Markey. So it's a four-man race, and what a race on the third lap, and we think that John Welch is going to be black flagged. Not surprisingly. But look at this battle for the lead with John Welch. He would have been marvellous to have in a convoy in the war, actually. There's now smoke all over the course. You can't see, we can't see, but Martin Schanche can, and Olle Arnesson can, and Matti Alamaki can. First, second and third on lap 3, and it's still anybody's race, and the red flags are going out. Oh, this is a disappointment and a great surprise. The red flags are out, and that, of course, means stop racing and proceed off the circuit with caution. And I think it will probably be red flag for them, and perhaps a black mark for John Welch, although you can hardly blame him for trying. Well, there he is. There's John Welch sitting on the boot lid of Hermie de Wick's car in the background. The four-ringed Audi logo of Olle Arnesson's car, and this is a bonus. We're going to get a second start, but regrettably without John Welch. Apparently it's a turbo oil seal that's broken, and it'll take too long to fix it. So it's a five-man final. Martin Schanche, by far the fastest yet. Olle Arnesson, previous champion. Matti Alamaki leading the championship. Seppo Niittymaki, who won last year, and François Monton from Belgium. 2 Quattros, 2 Porsches, 1 Escort. But what a different Escort. 560 horsepower. Arnesson got away quickest last time, but Schanche's done it this time. A lightning start from Martin Schanche, and Alamaki gets right up alongside Olle Arnesson, and he's going to try and drive round the outside as they go into Chessens Drift, through the dust, and Schanche sprints away as his 4 tires bite the tarmac at the Dover slope, go into the left-hander at the Devil's Elbow, and that's a third gear corner. Up into fourth, up into fifth, 100 miles an hour uphill into the third gear right-hander North Bend. Arnesson second, Alamaki third, Niittymaki in fourth position, Monton dropping back in the green-topped Quattro in fifth place. End of lap 1, into the chicane, Schanche leads. Second, Niittymaki, Alamaki in third position, Niittymaki in fourth, Alamaki nearly loses it. That gives Arnesson the chance to break away, but not to close up on Martin Schanche, who is on his second lap in this 4.5 lap race. And the gap now with Martin Schanche, who has had engine trouble in both the previous years here and failed to finish, is 1.5 seconds ahead of Olle Arnesson. There he is. It's 120 miles an hour down here, and they're just going onto the loose. Flames coming out from the turbo on the overrun as the unburned fuel in the engine burns in the exhaust pipe. Schanche, 560 horsepower with this Mike Endine transmission system, four-wheel drive, which is much in demand by car manufacturers now. It's a real British first. And Martin Schanche helped develop it. The Zach Speed engine, and they're on their third lap now. 1.5 laps to go at the end of this one. And Martin Schanche with Olle Arnesson closing. Arnesson in the Quattro, number 111, second in the championship. Alamaki there is leading the championship, and he is 6 points ahead of Arnesson. There are 20 points for a win, 17 for second, 15 for third. It's going to be very close for the championship at the end of this race if they stay where they are now. There's not long to go in this race. They're on the 4th lap now in this 4.5 lap race, and up Hairy Hill for the last time. Schanche leads, Arnesson second. Ford Escort 6-speed powered, 4-wheel drive. Martin Schanche's car leads. Olle Arnesson's Audi Quattro second. Then the Porsche. 3 different makes of car. Matti Alamaki, the European Championship leader. His car smoking a bit as he comes down the reverse side of Hairy Hill. Schanche sprints through the chicane, flings the Escort into Chessuts for the last time. This is Arnesson's last chance to get Schanche. I don't think he's got a hope of doing it, because the checkered flag is in sight, and the Sphere Drake European Rallycross Championship round here at Lyden today has been won, and deservedly so, by Martin Schanche, who won the first round with the fastest time ever at Lyden, who won the second round with an even faster time, has won the final, and is now getting ready to do his party trick. The door opens, the helmet is off, the balaclava is off. Look at me, Mum. No hands, and practically no feet either. Martin Schanche pedaling the Escort round with his left foot. He's made himself world famous for this. Tremendously popular. Ever tuned.
But we start with Arild Martinsen, who had a very good race in Germany and was eventually going to drive in the A final. But here in his first heat he is placed among a lot of slower cars, and as he's trying to pass the back markers, he's losing quite some time.
Yes, the back markers are actually from the previous race, because the organisers were running 2 heats at a time with about a 10-20 second gap in between. And now Martinsen, we see, has actually caught up the back markers from the previous race, and he's having an awful lot of difficulty in getting past them. It's not really as easy as it looks.
No, he was starting 20 seconds behind them, but still he's catching up, and he's losing quite some time here.
Yes, he actually eventually managed to qualify for the B final, but I think if he hadn't have been held up so much, he would have probably made the A final with no trouble at all. And there again we see yet another problem for the Norwegian driver. However, Martinsen wasn't the only driver to have problems during the day. Both the leaders, Alamaki and Arnesson, had hit trouble very early on. So, by trying extremely hard, Schanche found himself making some very uncharacteristic mistakes, as we see here. But then again, so did a number of other drivers. These are the 3rd qualifying heats, and for Alamaki there in the lead, he's had troubles earlier on, and this is his final chance of qualifying for the A final. The Porsche driver gets an immediate lead, and he's pulling out a considerable distance over his fellow Porsche driver, Bernhard Karl from Germany. But very shortly he's going to hit trouble. And also, right behind him, 20 seconds later, Olle Arnesson, who's also had problems. This is also his final attempt at qualifying for the finals, and he's very, very slow off the line. He's got problems with the engine, and with the turbocharger in particular, and he's only got about 150 brake horsepower available in that car.
And for the first time in this season, he is behind Peltari.
And there, this is the point where for Alamaki, this meeting is virtually all over. He's lost drive to the rear wheels, as we'll see in a second, and as Bernhard Karl goes by into the lead, the Finn must be thinking that possibly this is where he loses the championship he's virtually taken. He pulls off the circuit eventually, he tries to go, but his front wheels are spinning, there's nothing from the rear, and that is just about it. He's had it for the day, and he must be thinking now he's also had it for the rest of the year. Meanwhile, Arnesson comes round. He too is in trouble. He's got no power from the engine, and he finds that he can't stay with them. And there you see the engine, the turbocharger has in fact blown up completely. But still Arnesson continues, because he knows it's just a faint chance that he might make the C finals. And then, who knows, if the engine is repairable, he might be able to continue.
And we move over to the finals, C final Division 1, with Camille Verregen from Belgium in the lead, in front of home driver Wolfgang Schmidt and Løvli from Norway, 3 goals. In 4th place here, not a good start for him from Engebretsen, but he will make a very good recovery after a while. And
the racing, as we said before, in this particular group has been very, very close. And all the way up through both qualifying and the finals, the drivers really have been having a very good fight with each other. We've seen so far some very good racing and some very packed grids in Group A, and I think I'm right in saying that in the near future this particular division will start to rival the Division 2 cars. It's both cheap and very exciting racing.
Cars of this division is evenly matched. There is of course a difference in horsepower. The Volvos have around 300 horsepower, the Golfs here have around 170. But the Volvo is heavy and you have to break all that kilos down. And so the Golfs can still manage to follow the Volvos and the Saabs.
Yes, and meanwhile the cars do look evenly matched. It certainly leaves a lot to the drivers, it gives them a lot to do, and it certainly all rests on the drivers then.
We see that Engebretsen, he is passing Løvli, but he can do nothing about Camille Verreken, who is winning this C final in front of Wolfgang Schmidt from Germany, and Camille Verreken is moving on to the B final. B final Division 1, good start for Roger Sandberg, goes into the lead, but even better start for Camille Verreken from Belgium, the C final winner, who goes into second place.
And again we see how very close those cars are around the first corner. But Sandberg then starts to power of the Opel. He draws out a slight lead, but again, as we were saying before, we see how evenly matched these cars are because Verreken in the VW Golf doesn't let him get too far ahead.
But as Skogstad was last year, Sandberg is this year's newcomer in Norway, and he's a man to watch out for the future. I'm sure about that. He is currently building a Ford Escort RS Turbo, and he will be doing the European Championship with that car next year.
Again now he seems to have settled into the lead of this particular final. Championship was really tied up. On the front of the grid we see Norstedt just making the better start, and from here he really controls the race all the way round. Again, all the cars are very tightly packed together. But the Volvos there in second place, both disputing second place, fighting very hard. And as Nystrom goes through into second place, suddenly we see Sandberg charging through to try and take third place away from Everson in the black Volvo. Unfortunately though, for Sandberg his fight will actually be short-lived.
And we see Norstedt in front of Nystrom. Still Everson, and still Sandberg, but he in a short time will be out of the race. And on the back of the field, Boberg and Skogstad also trying their very best to fight. And this is in fact a very hard fight on the back of the field.
But for Norstedt, he knows that if he wins this one, he's actually sealed the European title in Group A.
Just as he did last year, by the way, he won the penultimate round on S-Ring also last year, got this title. And here he is going to secure his second straight European title.
And it's still very tight in there for second place as Norstedt comes round to complete his final lap. He's got very little distance to go to the checkered flag, and there he is winning the Group A title for the second year.
And Everson has passed Nystrom into second place, Nystrom third, but a battle for fourth place between Boberg and Skogstad, and I think Boberg just catches it.
Skogstad nearly going off there, as Norstedt acknowledging to the crowd that he's taken the title.
Norstedt is congratulated by Nystrom, as in the foreground Skogstad and Boberg are having a more serious talk about the antics in the last corner. The lights turn green for the start of the Division 2C final. Bernard Carl in the maroon Porsche, he takes an immediate lead there from Jukka Peltari in the white Porsche. But Willy van Herk in the Volvo, he tries to come up alongside, but he's not going to manage it this time, and in fact Peltari makes a very good dive for the inside and comes through in the lead. On second place, Bernard Carl. On the third place, Van Herk from Belgium. And on fourth place, with the four-wheel driven Beetle, Thor Holm from Norway.
Now Germany has quite a number of rallycross drivers, but like France, we don't often see them outside of their own country, do we?
Yes, and none of the German drivers are really capable of doing good results in the European Championship. And here we see that Holm has a big moment, and he's chased by Jokinen from Finland in the four-wheel driven Porsche. But he holds him around the corner, but suddenly the Beetle stops and Jokinen takes the lead.
Meanwhile, Peltari comes round to take the checkered flag. He's going to win this C final, and he's the one that goes through into the B race. The Division 2B final, and straight away we see Martinsson on the front row of the grid, making a much better start than Bolneset in the Quattro. A little bit slow into the first corner perhaps, and we have a bit of a pile up there with the 3 Porsches at the back, but once round, Martinsson starts to pull out a slight lead over Bolneset's Quattro. Now this particular car, Martinsson's car, is quite unique. He's done a lot of work on preparing it himself. The transmission is 4-wheel drive. It's modelled very closely on Martin Schenker's, and with a lot of help from Mike Endy, he's been able to put this car together. And I believe, Henning, that the engine too is a little bit unusual.
It's the first turbocharged Lotus 16-valve engine. It's 2.2 litre, capable around 550 horsepower, depending on how big the turbocharger is using.
Well, he's certainly doing extremely well with the car, and there he goes on his way to qualify for the A final. Takes the checkered flag in front of Kjetil Bolneset from Norway. And now the crowd wait for the final race of the day, the one where Martin Schenker really must be having considerable nerves about it, because if he wants to stay in the title fight, he's got to win this one. And straight away, from the middle row of the grid, he comes charging through and into an immediate lead in front of Seppo Niittymaki in the Porsche.
On 3rd place, Rolf Nilsson. 4th place, Michael Norstrom. And on 5th place, Arjen Martinsen. 6th place man is Timo Virtanen from Finland.
But once he's in the lead, for Martin, that seems to be the place he likes to be. His nerves have gone, and he is at last able to concentrate on commanding this particular battle from that position. Even though Seppo tries to look around the outside of him, there's an awful lot of power from that very light extract car, and Martin, flames pouring out of the exhaust, manages to just stay in the lead.
But Seppo is really charging here, he's really charging, trying for the inside.
And this is the point where Martin could have lost it, but Seppo, a very big gentleman here, he backs off. He could have had Martin straight off. The 2 cars do in fact touch, but Seppo hard on the brakes, as is Martin. Martin sees he's letting him through and carries on in the lead.
And this is it for Martin, I think. The last lap, he will win this round and take over the lead in the championship by 3 points to Matti Alamaki.
And now Martin is coming up to the last corner before the checkered flag, and this is it. He knows he's in the lead once more, and he's so pleased. He tries to do his usual pirouette around the corner, but instead he finds the tyres grip far more than he expected, and over goes the X-Track. And a very, very embarrassing moment here for Martin. As he starts to climb out, he doesn't really know the full extent of the damage of the car. Everybody rushes up to congratulate him, and of course no one's going to stop him from climbing out, standing on the car and making his victory salute. But it's a very, very different story when he gets the car home and finds out how much work he's got to do before the final. And straight away, as soon as the action starts, we have Matti Alamaki trying to regain that lead. But for once, the pressure is on the Finnish driver, and he now is the one to start making the mistakes. He's going very, very fast in front of Rolf Nilsson and Kjetil Bolneset, but unfortunately, this being his first run, he is actually going to make quite a number of errors. There, going over the curbs as he comes round to finish the first lap, but then he's going far too fast into the chicane. The back of the Porsche clips the banking and straight off into the sand. Nilsson goes by into the lead, Bolneset holds 2nd place, Michael Nordstrom 3rd. But Alamaki at this point is beginning to wonder if everything has really gone wrong for him. There we see it again in slow motion. He clipped the curb quite hard, and the Porsche goes backwards into the sand, and there's no way that Alamaki can get out. The Finnish driver was extremely lucky that the Porsche wasn't badly damaged. As he walks away, he must seriously be thinking whether his title chances are at last over.
And Nilsson goes on to win this heat in front of Bolneset and Nordstrom. A strong drive by Nilsson, but of course he wouldn't have won this heat hadn't it been for Matti Alamaki's accident.
And that picture there says it all. I think in any language you can see that Matti there is praying that there is nothing wrong with the car. And still with the qualifying heats, this time it's Martin Schanche, who makes a very good start ahead of Niittymaki, but he too, he knows he's got to stay in the lead. He didn't expect to be given a chance like this to retain his title for a 5th time, if that were possible. Back in 2nd place though, we just saw Niittymaki making a big mistake there as he went up over the curb. He lost 2nd place momentarily to Bernard Karl, the German, in the other Porsche, but now as they go up onto the bank and round the top, Niittymaki loses absolutely no time in taking 2nd place back. And there Martin right up onto 2 wheels. He nearly made the same mistake as Alamaki, but he still keeps his foot down, and remarkably he loses very little time, if any at all. That was an absolutely masterly recovery by the Norwegian ace as he comes round to take victory in this, the first of his qualifying heats. And Martin looks absolutely settled as he storms into the lead. This time it's the British driver, John Welsh. It's his turn to make a mistake there. As you see, car number 47. John tries to keep up with Olle Arnesson's Quattro, and as they go into the first corner, all he can do is spin out. John later admitted that both he and Arnesson were way over the limit at that point, and it really surprised him that Arnesson managed to get down the corner. Meanwhile, we see Volneset still going well in the Quattro there. He didn't have a good start to the season, but now he's making amends for it. Start of lap 2 and drama once more as Schanche again gets it wrong into the chicane. Arnesson sees his chance and the Swede close to the door very firmly on the Norwegian. Martin goes off into the sand and there's no way he can continue. There has been damage to the front suspension or steering. They weren't sure until they had the car taken apart. We see it again there in slow motion, and it was a very, very hefty thump by Martin into the Quattro. Of course, there really was nowhere for Martin to go. Arnesson kept to his line, did absolutely nothing wrong, and Martin, trying to get back onto the track, is simply thrown out of the way and back into the sand.
Arnesson, of course, goes on to win this heat, but Martin will in fact secure pole position for the A final with a superb 3rd qualifying run. But I think Olle Arnesson is very well pleased with himself by now.
Yes, because Arnesson was back. Oh, there we see Piet Dam, the local driver, trying extremely hard in the BMW. But Arnesson, as you say, very, very pleased to win this one, because down in 3rd place, I think Arnesson too had almost given up chance of winning the title. Nielsen comes through into 2nd place, and Volneset very nearly had Piet Dam for 3rd, but the Dutchman just got it.
We go on to the start of the C final Division 1, where Finn Jakob Kallio in the Fiat takes the lead from Arnold Verreken from Belgium. He is the brother of more well-known Camille.
And it's a little surprising to see Kallio down in the C final. He did actually win the French round of the European Championship, but since then he's had a few problems with the car, and he certainly hasn't scored as well as he did at the beginning of the season. The Fiat has proved very, very quick, but a little temperamental at times. And so Kallio eventually manages to finish a 7th placed overall in the series.
In fact, he had a 4th place after the French round, but the latter part of the season was not very good for the Finn, and he will, as you say, end up at 7th place. But he wins this C final and goes on to the B final of the Dutch round.
And this is in fact the only Fiat that we see in Group A in the championship.
B final Division 1, and straight into the lead, Håkan Ivarsson in the Volvo in front of Knut Boberg and Trond Engebretsen. We also see Jakob Kallio on the outside of Wolfgang Schmidt, the German, and Camille Verreken ending the field.
Meanwhile, Kallio, the C final winner, makes a mistake there as they go into the 2nd corner and slides wide. But this allows Ivarsson in the Volvo to pull clear. Boberg is trying very, very hard in the Golf, but he simply can find no way past the big Volvo. Next year the Norwegian is planning to use a 16-valve engine, which should give him about another 40 brake horse for the same weight. He's getting a lot of power out of that particular engine. But for now, he's going to have to be settled with 2nd place in this particular final, and eventual 5th overall in Division 1.
So Iversen goes on to win this B final and qualifies for the A final. And he's still being chased by Boberg, but he can't get past that big Volvo. For 3rd place, Trond Engebretsen, and for 4th place, Camille Verreken from Belgium. But it was very close at the finish line.
Division 1 A final. And immediately, Nystrom going looking as if he's going straight into the lead, which he does in the Volvo from his countryman Norstedt in the Saab.
Iversen goes off in the first corner, and then he also loses his chances of retaining his third place in the championship because Skogstad moves on to fourth place. And then it's Nystrom, Norstedt, Trevor Reeves on third place, Skogstad, who is now eventually going to take third place in the championship. And Skogstad is really charging Trevor Reeves in this final, goes for the inside, and I think he passes him. Yes, he does. And Trevor Reeves is on fourth place. Fifth place man is Roger Sandberg.
Meanwhile, Sandberg now is starting to close on Reeves as well, and Trevor trying very hard to retain that position. There you see Sandberg number 113. He's dropped back a little, but as Trevor goes out wide round that corner, he closes up again on the back of the Ford Escort. Meanwhile, Nystrom managing to stay in front of his teammate Norstedt in the Saab, and I think that this is really the way that the Swedes are wanting to see this particular battle finish, because Nystrom hasn't won a championship round yet this season, and with Norstedt having taken the championship outright, they are very, very pleased at this particular victory.
And Nystrom wins in front of Norstedt, Skogstad number 3, Trevor Reeves number 4, and Roger Sandberg at 5th place, and Håkan Iversen then 6th man.
Now the start of the C final for the big cars, and straight away we have Bolneset and Martinsson fighting it out for the lead. Bolneset squeezes through on the inside as they go under the bridge, around and away from the first corner.
Dutchman Fassbender's C final ends right here, under the bridge, while Bolneset still leads in front of Martinsson. But Martinsson had some problems during the Dutch round. The engine wasn't functioning very well, and he couldn't do better than the C final this time.
That's right, and also I was told he had gearbox problems. They started straight away in practice, and this is perhaps what is allowing Bolneset to pull quite clear.
And we see smoke from the Talbot Lotus, and normally this car would have been quicker than the Quattro around this Dutch circuit. It is in fact a very fast circuit, but Martinsson can't hold Bolneset here in this C final. And Bolneset will eventually go on to win the C final and move on to the B final.
So in his first season with the car, and he actually started quite late on in the season with it, Martinsson has done very, very well to get it into an eventual 13th place in the championship. Bolneset the winner in the yellow Quattro. Now for the start of the B final for Division 2, and straight away Niittymaki roars into the lead, but behind him the C final winner, Bolneset in the yellow Quattro, has made an equally good start, and straight away he's through into second place.
On third place, Timo Virtanen from Finland. On fourth place, Monten from Belgium, but Monten has taken the third place from Virtanen. Right at the back of the field, Michael Nordstrom in his Beetle, four-wheel driven of course, 400 horsepower, and good enough for 5th place in the European Championship this year.
Meanwhile, Bolneset still chasing Niittymaki, but there's no way he's going to catch the Finnish Porsche driver. There's an awful lot of power in that car in front. And so, Bolneset there, racing for what will eventually be 8th place overall in Division 2. And that's a position he's managed in the past 2 years, so this is the third time that he's finished 8th. But he has actually been higher than that, hasn't he?
Yeah, in 81 he was 5th placed when Martin won the championship. But here Niittymaki goes on to win this B final and moves to the A final. Bolneset second, right ahead of Monten, and Virtanen from Finland, 4th man. Michael Nordstrom 5th.
Now we prepare to move over to the final race of the day, the final race of the championship. And again, here is where it all happens. At the moment, Martin Schenker in with a very, very good chance of keeping the title, taking it for a 5th time. He goes straight away into the lead from Alamaki in the Porsche. But it's not going to last very long, because by the time they come into the second corner, there is already problems with Martin's car. Just about here, Martin was saying that the oil pump went, he had no oil pressure, and was trying very hard to stay in front of Alamaki. The Finn, though, senses that the Escort is slowing. He goes very tight on the inside, then goes around the outside as they go up onto the banking. It's very loose here and very steep. Alamaki keeps the power on, going right out wide as they slide back onto the tarmac to start-finish straight again. And now Martin is really beginning to slow as Alamaki extends his lead. Arnesson has got by into second place, and as they come through the chicane, Martin has just about had it. He's about to pull off, and that will be the end of his championship. John Welsh there coming through in front of Seppo Niittymaki, but meanwhile Martin Schenker, his chances of taking the title again have completely vanished. He goes back to the paddock and to an eventual second place. Alamaki now, he's in the lead. He didn't think this was going to happen after Germany because he didn't score any points there and he was bitterly disappointed. But now he means to take this championship even though he's got Arnesson, who can still win it as well, right up behind him. And these two circulate nose to tail virtually all the way to the flag. John Welsh we see in 4th place, Rolf Nilsson there in the background is 3rd. But this race really did belong to the Finnish Porsche driver Matti Alamaki. Arnesson in the Quattro very, very close as they go round there. That's the final corner before coming up to the finish line, but Matti Alamaki it is who wins the last race of the championship, and with it the 1985 European Rallycross Championship outright. And just look at that, you can see how delighted the Finn is at winning the championship for the first time.